Thanks, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to the George W. Bush Institute's PEPFAR at 20 event. Thank you to USIP for hosting us today, and a special thanks to the architects, partner governments, the faith-based organizations, and PEPFAR advocates. Your tireless work has saved millions of lives. 20 years ago, before President Bush announced the President's emergency plan for AIDS relief, AIDS was causing devastation around the world, especially in sub-Saharan Africa. There, less than 50,000 people living with HIV had access to the antiretroviral therapy. The toll in affected countries was staggering, leading to a strain on families, on the workforce, and on entire economies. Barbara, Jenna, and I visited Africa soon after the launch of PEPFAR. We met mothers in despair, and we held tiny babies that were sick and dying from AIDS. As time went on, and with each trip George and I made to Africa, we saw a peaceful optimism emerge. Treatments were reaching the people who needed them. Families were celebrating a second chance at life. Teachers, farmers, business owners, and civil servants who were once sick were able to return to work and support their families again. Children who'd been orphaned by AIDS were being cared for. Communities were energized. We've come to know this powerful movement as the Lazarus effect. Today, thanks to the compassion and generosity of the American people, the U.S. Congress, and so many others, PEPFAR has saved an estimated 25 million lives. Although PEPFAR's mandate is the prevention, care, and treatment of HIV, its effect has gone well beyond this. PEPFAR has strengthened health systems, it's emboldened democracies, it's supported economic growth, and it has advanced progress on human rights. After George and I returned to Texas from Washington, we learned that women living with HIV were 6 times more likely to develop cervical cancer than women without HIV. It broke our hearts to know that because of access to treatment, women were now living with HIV, but were dying from a preventable disease. So the Bush Institute formed Go Further, a partnership with PEPFAR, UNAIDS, and others to screen women in Africa for cervical cancer. Go Further provides treatment for pre-cancerous cervical lesions before they threaten women's lives. Through Go Further, more than 4.5 million women have had their first screen for cervical cancer, and over 217,000 pre-cancerous lesions have been treated. As Americans, we believe that every life in every land has value and dignity. And around the world, PEPFAR represents the very best of America. But the work is not done. PEPFAR will remain critical in the global effort to end AIDS as a public health threat. And through the Bush Institute, we'll support PEPFAR Go Further and their partners to ensure that the next generation can live full and hopeful lives. When Tatu Msangi became pregnant, she went to a prenatal clinic in Tanzania and discovered that she was HIV positive. Tatu enrolled in a prevention of mother-to-child transmission program, and she delivered a healthy baby girl she named Faith. After Faith was born, Tatu became a nurse. Every day she counsels HIV-positive women. She encourages them to participate in the mother-to-child transmission program, and she helps screen these women for cervical cancer. I first met Tatu's daughter, Faith, in 2008, when she joined us for Georgia's State of the Union address. She was 2 years old. She's sweetly sitting in her mother's lap, and she was HIV-free. Today, Faith is a healthy, ambitious high schooler who uses her voice to continue the fight against HIV, and I'm very proud of her. Tatu and Faith represent the promise of the next generation, They're an example of the hope and opportunity that PEPFAR has provided to millions, and I'm thrilled that they've joined us here today as we celebrate 20 years of PEPFAR. So please join me in welcoming Tatu and Faith to the stage.
Good morning, and thank you, Mrs. Bush, for the kind introduction. My name is Tatu Msangi, and this is my daughter, Faith. Both my daughter and I are ambassador for the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation, an organization which since 1988 has advocated for children, youth, and families impacted by HIV and AIDS around the world. In 2004, I learned I was living with HIV during a routine antenatal clinic visit, a clinic near my home in Moshi, Tanzania. While I was shocked to learn of my own HIV status, I was more concerned about the health of my baby. You see, back then, I, like so many others, believed having HIV was a death sentence and that I would inevitably pass the virus to my child. But after speaking with the counselor at the clinic, I learned that there was a step I could take to reduce the likelihood of transmission HIV to my newborn. They told me that by taking medicine every day exactly as prescribed and ensuring my baby took medicine right after her delivery, I had a great chance of giving birth to a HIV-free child. This gave me hope. I was determined to not only prioritize my own health, but that of my unborn child as well. During this time, I also found community with other women who were navigating the joys of pregnancy and motherhood while fighting the challenge of HIV stigma and shame. I soon realized that I wanted to pursue a career in public health where I could help other women like myself overcome their feelings of stigma and stay adhered to their treatment regimen. Today, nearly 17 years later, my daughter Faith stands alongside me as a representative of over 5.5 million babies born HIV-free as a result of 20 years of PEPFAR program. Faith has become a community leader in her own right, also pursuing her love of music and interior design. Not only that, I am taking course to finish my master's in public health with the goal of serving my community by providing essential services to pregnant mothers as registered nurse at the same clinic where I received my antenatal services. Together, Faith and I represent that life does not end at an HIV diagnosis and that I am not defined by my status. The success of PEPFAR shows that an AIDS-free generation is possible if we all commit to an end-take action from the family level to the global level. But as PEPFAR has demonstrated, in order to create a future free from HIV, we must work together to eliminate stigma and prioritize the health of children, youth, and families everywhere. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. When I was just 10 years old, my mother told me that she was living with HIV/AIDS. At first, I asked if I was too HIV positive. She then shared with me how she was able to protect me from contracting the virus because she took her medications every day and attended all of her doctor's appointments. Even as a young child, I knew people had negative thoughts about HIV. I told her that HIV status did not make me love her any less. While she shared her HIV status with me, she also told me about the important work she does as a public health nurse at the clinic where she received her care to help other women living with HIV safely give birth to their HIV-negative babies. My mother told me how we must lead by example to eliminate the feelings of fear and stigma so closely associated with HIV in our community. I learned from my example about the ways I could give back to my community by staying true to myself, by using my own passions and interests to help others. As a music lover, I use song to encourage my friends living with HIV to take their medications as prescribed without fail. I teach my HIV-negative peers how to stand up against HIV stigma and how to remain HIV-free. But beyond my advocacy endeavors, I'm just like any other teenage girl. I love to travel and meet new people and attend school with the goal of one day becoming an interior designer. I am interested in environmental issues and how we can creatively address issues such as climate change through design. And while my hopes for the future exist beyond HIV, the importance of this moment in history is not long lost on me. Because PEPFAR, over 25 million lives, including my own, have been saved from HIV and AIDS in the past 20 years. And most importantly, we are much closer to the fulfillment of the promise that an HIV/AIDS-free generation will one day be achieved. Thank you.